Hey, this is Jason Creel. So I wanted to do a test. I did a video about 2 years ago where I made a common homemade weed killer recipe and tried it out. And I have gotten many comments on that basically I used the wrong kind of salt. And so I thought, let's redo the experiment. And I wanted to test it 2 different ways because one comment I got was saying that, some people say, well, the vinegar, is what kills the weeds. Some people say the salt kills the weeds. So it's a combination of both. So I'm going to make the homemade weed killer here with vinegar, table salt, where before I'd used Epsom salt, and people were telling me that was the mistake I made. And then some dish soap for the surfactant, or what in the lawn care industry we call, slang word for that is sticker. So it basically, the surfactant or the dish soap in this instance helps what we're spraying to stick to the plant. And so anyway, I'm going to make the homemade weed killer. Then I'm going to spray it in this horseshoe pit here. I'm going to spray one side without the salt, so just with the vinegar and the dish soap, and then I'm going to add the salt and spray the other side, and we'll see if there's any kind of difference in the results. So let me show you how to make the homemade weed killer. All right, so I got my sprayer here, and I'm going to basically be making a half a gallon. So I bought a 1/2 gallon jug of distilled white vinegar. So I'm going to pour that in. And then, like I said, at first I'm just going to use the vinegar and about a tablespoon of dish soap. So when you're doing any kind of spray, you want to, agitation is important. For on this, agitation just means me shaking. So now what I want to do is take the lid off, and I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of regular table salt, and I'm going to spray the other half of the horseshoe pit, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so now I've showed you how to make the homemade weed killer. I've sprayed 2 different sides of the horseshoe pit, one with just the vinegar and dish soap, the other with the vinegar, dish soap, and a half a cup of table salt. So you want to put basically 1 cup per gallon, but I only made a half a gallon. So half a gallon of vinegar, about a tablespoon of dish soap, and a half a cup of table salt. That's to make a half a gallon. You know, obviously if you want to make more, you just multiply the recipe. So I'll check back in a few days, see how this goes. You know, a lot of times everybody knows that Roundup is effective on killing weeds, and so you know, you can spray that and you know they're going to die. But some people get confused on Roundup, thinking that it's also preventative in its nature. You know, it basically is designed to kill what is there, but it's not going to necessarily stop new growth from occurring. I'm not sure on this if it actually does anything to the soil or not, to continue, you know, to help vegetation not continue to grow, or does it just try to kill the growth that's here? So if you know the answer to that, you can leave it in the comments. But we'll be checking back on this in a few days and see the results. Thanks. Okay, we're here to check out the results from the homemade weed killer spraying. As you can see, on the one side I've used only vinegar, and then on the other side I added the salt and used the dish soap as a surfactant. So this was sprayed on a Tuesday, and today is Friday, so only 3 days later. You can see it is it's interesting when you, and this is something to be learned for you know, weed control in general, that it seems to have more of an effect on some plants than others. For instance, I can see a little bit of grass in there that it doesn't seem to have had much effect on at all, but some of the other weeds, you see this little, you know, a little bit of grass there that doesn't seem to be affected much. And then when you come over here and look at that weed, it seems to have a very you know, very serious effect on it. So, you know, I think so that's one observation. I think the other observation is not a whole lot of difference in the side that was sprayed with the vinegar and the dish soap, and then the side that had the vinegar, salt, and dish soap. So and I'm going to leave this up in the comments. I know people have different opinions on this, but I would like to know your opinion on, because it just seems to me that the vinegar is doing more of the weed control than the salt is. So you know, just by looking at this. But after a few days, you know, it's definitely had an effect, and like I said, not a whole lot of difference between the vinegar side, vinegar only, and the side with vinegar plus the salt. So that concludes the experiment. Leave your comments below. I'm sure you will. In the previous one, I was told all the things I did wrong, so you can tell me again in this video, and subscribe to the channel if you are a lawn care guy looking to you know, interested in your lawn, how to make your lawn better. So this was somewhat of a side experiment. Thanks a lot. I want to get one last bit of footage on this. This is 6 days after spraying with the vinegar, and on one side I used the salt and dish soap. So you can see it's still not a lot of effect on the actual grass. That Bermuda grass right there is still green, but on some of the other plants, you know, it seemed to work a little better. Like, not so much on that, but you look back over here, you can see where it definitely had an effect on some of the plants. So this concludes the experiment. Thank you. Hey, thanks for watching the video. A couple of things to mention real quick. If you're new to the channel or haven't done so yet, I would encourage you to click the subscribe button. That'll be the easiest way to stay in touch with the lawn care videos, and I try not to waste your time and only provide relevant content that would be helpful to people in the lawn care business or people who are just crazy about their lawns. So the other thing is, in the description of the video, that's where I include some links if I've mentioned certain things in the video, or links to my website where I have recommended products, some other products that are available. You can check those out and find the links in the description of this video. Thanks.